Senator Roberts.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I also wish to echo the comments of a positive advice and counsel from the four wise men. And Lee, I would refer your speech to my colleagues. Tab 9, I got to tab 9. While listening intently to every word that you said, I discovered tab 9, which includes your speech of July 18, 2001. So you were just as prescient as usual in regards when you addressed a hearing before the Subcommittee on Government Efficiency, Financial Management, and Intergovernmental Relations. That's a mouthful. On the House Committee on Government Reform. So we thank you for your insight. I just have a couple of observations, and if any of you three would make any comments, I'd appreciate it. Number one, Senator Shelby asked my question in regards to Homeland Security and some kind of an analytical center. I just had the dubious privilege of being the President of the United States on Monday in an exercise called Crimson Sky. It's very similar to the Dark Winter exercise on an attack from Iraq, which makes you scratch your head a little bit today, on a smallpox inclusion. And what happened as a result of that, it was a very helpful exercise. It has helped us from the CDC standpoint of having enough vaccines now for every American in regards to a possible smallpox attack. This was an agri-terrorism attack, and the USDA was the lead agency, but it became obvious that there were a great many other agencies, more especially the Homeland Security Agency, which allegedly is supposed to take charge, and the Justice Department, and FBI, and CIA. And in the inclusion of things that happened to us, we pretty much found out that after the incubation period, you had about 2 or 3 days to make some decisions, and it was already too late. So you had to make a lot of decisions prior to that. I think a lot of other agencies that took part in this exercise learned a great deal about the possibility of endangering our food supply, which has now come in the top 10 in regards to things we worry about. But we've had the top-off exercises, and I'm wondering that basically in terms of cooperation and information sharing, the Joint Investigative Staff had an excellent summary of that just a hearing or two ago. If that's not the best way to do this in regards to forcing people to take a look at a problem that, or a challenge they had not really, say, predicted, and then do an exercise. And through the exercise, obviously, you are forced to make these decisions, and then you get into lessons learned, and even with the first responders. That's one thing. In regards to the second question, it is in regard to Senate Resolution 400. One of the things that I have discovered is that when we held a hearing over a year ago, Senator Shelby and others were very active in that. The Intelligence Committee, Armed Services Committee, and the appropriators of the Senate. We had 46 federal agencies come up. We asked them what their mission was, what they really did, and then who was in charge. Today there are 80 federal agencies. At that time there were 14 subcommittees and committees in the Senate alone who said they had jurisdiction. Now there's 88. Obviously, we have been selected as the committee in regards to the investigation that we're doing now. But, and I know that Senator DeWine, Senator Rockefeller indicated that perhaps this select committee should be made a permanent committee. I'm wondering with 37 members if it couldn't be reduced, if we couldn't have a joint permanent committee between the House and Senate. It doesn't seem to me to make too much sense today to have them both in the House and Senate. And then basically limit the number of committees that members could serve on, you know, given the challenge we face today. Now, that's not going to be very popular, more especially in the Senate. In the House, that's, say, very commonplace. But I worry that the Congress itself is very fragmented. We've had the government oversight committees do most of the work in regards to Homeland Security. And then, but we have 88 subcommittees and committees. My word, we have to do a better job. So in terms of Senate Resolution 400, I'm concerned about that. Now, that's a laundry list. I'm probably out of time, and you got a yellow light. But if anybody has any comments, I would appreciate it.
I like the idea of the exercise. I've participated in a number of those, Senator Roberts, and you play a role in those exercises, usually a high-ranking executive branch official. And the value of them is it really makes you confront the problem in a very direct way. And you get opinions coming at you from a lot of your colleagues that give a different perspective of the problem, and you find out how tough the decision-making process really is. I like the idea. It's probably the best single educational experience for a member of Congress to go through, because members of Congress are not accustomed to thinking like an executive branch person in making decisions. Secondly, with regard to the Congress, I agree wholeheartedly. The Congress has to get itself in shape just as much as the intelligence community does. You can't possibly conduct oversight of intelligence with 88 committees or subcommittees or whatever it is. That's an unfair burden on the executive branch to confront that. And I think reform of the intelligence community is, I'm all for that, as I've indicated, but it's not just reform of the executive branch. The Congress has a lot of reforming to do too.
I like very much the idea of a smaller permanent joint committee. I think that would be a lot more efficient. I think the old Joint Atomic Energy Committee was very effective, and I think you inherited this from the mid-1970s. But if you could get back to that, I think you would have a much more open relationship with the intelligence community.
And remember, Senator, we have a precedent for it. When the oversight of covert action was first passed in the Senate with the Hughes-Ryan bill, there were some 12 committees of the Senate, or 12 committees of the Congress, rather, that could claim jurisdiction for parts of that information. And eventually, with the creation of the permanent intelligence oversight committees, it dwindled to 2 plus the appropriation committees.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.